We are doing all kinds of exciting classes. To me it's exciting. I hope it's exciting to you out there all over the world. Thank you for your prayers. I'm waiting for the surgeons to talk to me about the operation I have to have, the brain tumor in my left ear area. And so continue praying for that, and we'll get the finances to do all these trips running back and forth at 600 and 700 miles trips. We're going to go and look at a little bit more at Jacob's life because it is really important. I've said many times that Jacob is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. I think he's very underrated. I don't think God underrates him, but I think preachers do. He was not a mama's boy. He was a powerful man, very powerful. If you read some of the histories, like the book of Jasher, and you'll see how powerful he actually was. It doesn't say much about it except when he went to the well where he met Rachel. He moved a stone, probably several hundred-pound stone, by himself. And they were just aghast, the men around there. Wherever he went, God caused him to prosper. And even when he was betrayed by his sons, Levi and Simeon, over Dinah in Shechem, and when they went into the town and killed all of those men, every male in that town, and he cursed them because he knew a war was going to begin. According to the history book Jasher, Hostaphar Yashur, as it says, the scribe or historian Jasher, he's quoted in the Bible in Joshua 10:13 and 2 Samuel 1:18 and 2 Timothy 3:8, and he's actually, the information in the Bible from the Apostle Paul and some of the others is coming from the book of Jasher. So I quote him not so much as it's inspired, but as a history resource. When Jacob's sons killed the whole town of Shechem, destroyed it and murdered all the men, robbed it, there was a Canaanite war started, and the Canaanite wars went on for quite a while. God evidently empowered Jacob's sons to such a degree, they were fought with just beyond human strength. And the fear of them was all throughout the land of Canaan. One man could kill 100 or 1,000, one of those boys. God had plans for them. When they went down into Egypt, they did the same thing. They fought with Joseph. Joseph was a general, and they fought with him. And even Jacob went out and fought in a powerful way. And as long as any of those boys were alive, the Egyptians lived in fear of them. But they all died. According to the book of Jasher, they were entombed in coffins, every one of them, and when they went into the land of promise, they carried their bodies, the coffins there, and planted them in their respective areas where they were to occupy. Let's go back to the book of Genesis, the book of Genesis, Bereshit, the book of beginnings. We're going to see Jacob become very old. Joseph is a powerful man in the land, the most powerful man in Egypt, even more powerful than Pharaoh. Pharaoh didn't do anything that outside of what Joseph told him to do. In the 48th chapter, now it came about after these things that Joseph was told, "Behold, your father is sick." So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, with him. And then when it was told to Jacob, "Behold, your son Joseph has come to you, And Israel collected his strength and sat up in bed. He was bedridden. And Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty, Jehovah El Shaddai, or Elohim El Shaddai, or El Shaddai, appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And he said to me, behold, I will make you fruitful and numerous, and I will make you a company of people. The word company there means an army. And I will give this land to your descendants after you unto everlasting possession. And now to your sons, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. He tells him now, he said, Joseph, your sons are mine. I'm going to adopt them right now. And Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. Now he's going to make a double tribe out of Joseph. He's going to double bless Joseph. He's going to have a double tribe. But your offspring that I have been born after me, they shall be yours, and they shall be called by the names of their brothers and in their inheritance. Now as for me, when I came from Padan Aram, Rachel died. And to my sorrow in the land of Canaan, on a journey where there was still some distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's sons, and he said, who are these? And Joseph said to his father, they are my sons whom God has given me here. And so he said, bring them to me, please, that I may bless them. Now he's going to bless them. He's going to adopt them right now. And now we have the tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim. Now the eyes of Israel were so dim from age that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them close to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel, now God is using Jacob's covenant name, his blessed name. He who wrestled with God. That's what Israel means. He who wrestled with God. And he said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face. And behold, God has let me see your children as well. And Joseph took them from between his knees and bowed his face to the ground. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand toward Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right, and brought them close to him. Now, Joseph wanted him to bless the firstborn child, but so many times God is a God that he rejects the firstborn. He rejects your first birth. Your first birth gives you death. If you haven't been born again, you're going to die and go to an everlasting death. You must be born from above also. Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, crossing his hands, although Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, the God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, and the God who has been my shepherd, the Lord my shepherd, all my life to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil. God gives us guardian angels, and Jacob always had a guardian angel, and so did Joseph. Bless these lads, and may my name live on in them. No others, he's adopting them, that they are his children now. And the names of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father had laid his right hand on Ephraim's head, it displeased him. And he had grasped his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head. The rejection of the firstborn. But his father refused and said, I know, my son. I know he also shall become a people, and all shall be great. However, his younger brother shall be greater than he is. Prophecy. prophecy. God was giving him the ability to see ahead. And his descendants shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, by you Israel shall pronounce this blessing, saying, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. And he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you, and bring you back to the land of our fathers, or your fathers. And I will give you one portion more than your brothers. Remember what Joseph means? The name Joseph means to increase, to be unconquerable. And he was. More than your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow. He fought in the Amorite wars, in the Canaanite wars. Now the chapter 49 now is a wonderful chapter. This is prophecy. Jacob prophesies, and he's using his covenant name that God gave him. Then Jacob summoned his sons and said, assemble yourselves, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the days to come. This is pure prophecy. Gather together and hear, O sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you're my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power, uncontrolled as water. You shall not have preeminence, because you went up to your father's bed. This is when he went and defiled his father by sleeping with his father's wife. You defiled it. He went up to my couch. In other words, he saw his father's nakedness. And Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are implements of Hamas. This is the word in the Hebrew is Hamas, violence. Their swords are implements of Hamas. Let my soul not enter into their counsel. He's still not happy about this situation. Let not my glory be united with their assembly, because in their anger they slew men. And in their self-will they lamed the oxen. They killed and lamed innocent animals. they lamed oxen. They hamstrung these oxen so they couldn't use them to plow their fields with anybody from their own. What they couldn't leave behind, they destroyed or lamed. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will disperse them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. Levi never had an inheritance. They became the priests. God used cracked pots. He used fragile vessels. So many times in the Bible we see that. He turned them into priests, and yet they were scoundrels. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Now, they would go into different parts and they would be given the houses and things in the land, but they would never really have an inheritance because they were priests. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. And look at Judah. Here's another crackpot. Remember what Judah did? He married a Canaanite woman. He had these boys, 3 boys that were just hellions. And the first one he married to a beautiful woman named Perez, or Tamar, that is. And Tamar was a beautiful woman, and God killed that boy. And then he gave her to his other son, because this is what he was supposed to do. And God killed him, and he wouldn't give him to the third one. And she sat out there in the roadway, dressed up like a temple prostitute, and Judah came there and offered her money to have sex with him. He didn't know it was his daughter-in-law. And she did, and she caught seed, and she had twins. And again, the rejection of the firstborn we have there also. Judah, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's son shall bow down to you. Judah is a lion's whelp. And remember what he did. Now the child, his children, the promised children, would come through Tamar, not his Canaanite wife. He was going to kill her and burn her to death. But she asked for his staff, she asked for his belt, and she asked for his ring as a token that he would pay her for her duty to him. When he was going to burn her to death for adultery and fornication, he said, "Who did this? Who did you have this with?" He said, "The guy I have this staff with, this ring, and this belt." And he said, "You're more righteous than I am." And she was. Sometimes God has to use women. Men aren't worthy of it. And that's exactly what he did right there again. Judah is a lion's whelp. From prey, my son, you have gone up. He couches and he lies down as a lion. And in the Canaanite war, Judah was the greatest warrior. In the Canaanite wars, Judah was the greatest warrior. They shook at the sound of his name. He couches, he lies down as a lion, who dares rouse him up. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. This is where the Messiah is going to come. The Messiah came through the womb of 2 prostitutes. Think about that. 2 prostitutes. And all this time. One make-believe prostitute and one real one, Rahab. Then Ruth the Moabitess. Moab was Lot's son. And his daughter lay with her father and had this son, and she said, "This is water from my father. Semen from my father." That's the Moabites. Yet God used her in his lineage of his Messiah. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler staff from between his feet until Shiloh comes. In other words, until Jesus is born. And to him shall be the obedience of the people. He ties his foal to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine, and he washes his garments in wine. This is when he comes back in Revelation, the 19th chapter. Jacob is looking way ahead. And his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are dull from wine, and his teeth are white from milk. Zebulun shall dwell in the seashore, and he shall be a haven for ships, and his flank shall be toward Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey lying down between the sheepfolds. And when he saw a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, he bowed his shoulder to bear the burdens. This is a hard-working boy. This is like my grandmother. My grandmother was a slave of the family, my mother said, and I saw it myself. She did lots of work. She took care of everybody. He bowed his shoulder to bear burdens. He became a slave at forced labor. Dan shall be judge of his people. As one of the tribes of Israel, and Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a horned snake in the path, that bites at the horse's heels, so that his rider falls backwards. For thy salvation I wait, O Lord. As for Gad, that is, raider shall raid him. Raiders shall raid him. And he shall raid at their heels. As for Asher, his food shall be rich. And he shall yield royal dainties. This is the word Eden. The word Eden means a place of royal dainties. That was the Garden of Eden. The plush. That's the palace, the throne room of Adam. Naphtali is a doe let loose. He gives beautiful words. Joseph is a fruitful bowl by spring. Its branches run over the wall, and the archers bitterly attacked him. And he shot at him and harassed him. That's talking about, his brothers tried to kill him. But his bow remained firm, and his arms were agile. From the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. For the God of your father who helps you, and by the Almighty who blesses you, with blessings of heaven and above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb, and the blessings of your father have surpassed the blessings of my ancestors. Up to the uttermost bound, the everlasting hills, may they be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of the one who distinguished among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey, and in the evening he divides the spoil. And all of these are the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what their father said to them when he blessed them, and he blessed them every one, and with a blessing appropriate to them. And he charged them and said to them, I'm about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephraim the Hittite. That's the cave of Mephilah. This was the most precious place when I went to the land of Israel. The most precious place. That's where all of the patriarchs are buried. And in the cave that is in the field of Mephilah. That means the double-mouthed cave, which is before Mamre. That's in Hebron. And in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought along with the field from Ephraim the Hittite for a burial place. And there buried Abraham and his wife and Sarah, and they buried Isaac and his wife Rebekah, and there I buried Leah. In the field and the cave that is in it purchased from the sons of Heth. When Jacob finished charging his sons, he drew his feet into his bed, and he breathed his last breath, and he was gathered to his people. What a story. What a prophecy, huh? Mm-hmm. What a prophecy. And it came true. But you know what? Revelation, the 19th chapter, hadn't happened yet. And he talked about that. The Lion of the tribe of Judah. Revelation, the 19th chapter. See if I can find that here. And read just a little bit of it to you. I'm starting with about verse number 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. And he who sat upon it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and wages war. Right back to Jacob's prophecy. Mm-hmm. And his eyes are a flame of fire, and upon his head are many diadems. A diadem is something you worn, a conquest. Each diadem is a conquest. And he has the name written upon him whom no one knows except himself. That's the name Jehovah. We don't know how to really say that word, but that's his name. The Word. And he's clothed with a robe dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God. John 1:1, John 1:14, John 1:18. And his armies which are in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, were following him on white horses. And from his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that he may smite the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron, and he treads the winepress of the fierce wrath of God and the Almighty. And on his robe and on his thigh is called Adonai Ha-Adonai in the Hebrew, or King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's the story. That's yet to happen. Way over yonder. This is going to happen. Right over here, after the tribulation period. Jesus is going to take things under control. He's going to put the old devil in prison for 1,000 years. I'm looking forward to that. Aren't you? You looking forward to the Jesus coming in the sky there for you and taking you up into heaven? And all the time this tribulation period on earth is going to take place, we're going to be up there and having big dinners. 7 years of dinners. 7 years of feasting. Down on the earth, they got 7 years of hell. I hope that you have made your peace with God. I hope that you've asked Him to save your soul by the merits of Jesus Christ, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Our Father, we send this message out for your honor and glory. Father, I pray for all of those out there, and I'm thankful for all of the people that you have given me to touch into with your word. I pray for them. And I pray also for the website that if I'm not here to take care of it, that it'll stay up with people to use for years to come. And I thank you for people like Steve and Kathy in Missouri, and many out there all over. Brett and Tori in Bakersfield, and all of those that just keep on giving. Christine and Jason and Nancy in Pennsylvania. These people I thank you for. Father, please forgive me what I tell you. In Jesus'